News First reported of a joint venture project undertaken by Sri Lanka, Japan and China to develop the east terminal of the Colombo port. The Port Authority issued a communique regarding this.
It becomes evident through the media release sent out by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority that there is an envisaged memorandum of the cooperation between Sri Lanka, Japan and India regarding the east terminal of the Sri Lanka port. SLPA believes the envisaged new partnership will help the port of Colombo to continue growth and further improve its position. The release further states SLPA retains 100% ownership of East Container Terminal. It adds that the terminal operations company conducting all East Container Terminal operations is jointly owned. Sri Lanka retains a 51% stake and joint venture partnership purchase a 49% stake. It further says the envisaged Japanese loan carries one of the best loan terms Sri Lanka has obtained. However, given that the loan terms are awaiting formalization, it would be premature for SLPA to comment. It concludes by saying the global cargo trade is an extremely competitive, fast-paced, rapidly evolving industry that requires ports to be timely in their capacity expansion, execution and service levels. The envisaged MOC is a significant step in ensuring Colombo Port delivers on these goals in an agile manner.
We now cross over to Chaturanga Hapuarachi, who has more on this story. Chatu?
Yes, Dasuni, now we have to lay the foundation to the story that we just saw. We saw of a memorandum of cooperation, or in fact, the Sri Lanka Ports Authority had sent out a media release confirming of a memorandum of cooperation between international community and Sri Lanka, again with regard to the East Terminal. Now this is the same terminal that President Maithripala Sirisena in the recent past said that will not be given to a foreign country as well. Now we have to look at this particular media release that has been sent out. If you go through the complete media release, it clearly mentions that there were several media reports on this subject, and that is why this particular media release is sent out. Now here we have to remember and remind to our general public that this news item, the source of this news item was from a Japanese news outlet, and Reuters too had reported on this particular joint venture carried out between India, Japan and Sri Lanka with regard to the East Container Terminal or the Sri Lanka port. Now if not for this Japanese and Reuters media reports, the general public of Sri Lanka will not be aware of such a memorandum of cooperation. It is only after this matter was raised by international media, then by Sri Lankan media, did the Sri Lanka Ports Authority take steps to come forward and make those details available to the general public. Now let's go back to the past a bit. We remember how the Hambantota port deal took place. We remember how a proposal was put forward by a former Minister of Ports and Shipping, Arjuna Ranatunga, to break this down into 51%, 49% share ownership. But what happened? What happened was that the minister was changed, a new minister was put in, Mahinda Samarasinghe was put in as the minister, and the complete port was given out to China. Now we also have to look at what has been happening. There is no point in scolding the media after not revealing these information to the general public of Sri Lanka. If, as what the Sri Lanka Ports Authority in their media release says, this is being carried out under very good circumstances, loan agreements are very good on the side of Sri Lanka, why would Japan, a country that is a part of this memorandum of cooperation, come forward and make an expose or reveal these details to the public? Now that is also a question that we have to raise. From time to time, politicians take various decisions that are sometimes taking into consideration their petty political agendas. Sometimes some would use the word shameful as well. In this backdrop, the officials who are placed in all of these high places make the decisions, put their signature, in other words, put their neck out. But when things go wrong, it is those officials who will be held accountable and not the politicians. We have examples like that in the past in our country. We remember what happened to Lalit Veeratunga. Even in the bond scam case, we remember what happened to Arjuna Mahendran, and we know the whole country points a finger at one person, and Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor of the central bank, is evading the long arm of the law. Now, with all of this happening in the country, we have to remember that people have been placed at various places. We remember Prime Minister Advisor Chaitya Ratwa's brother Suren Ratwata being placed at the Sri Lankan Airlines. We remember how things worked there as well. We remember the losses. We remember the numbers. Now here in this particular case, Mr. Kavan Ratnayaka, some would call him an honorable man. However, he is the brother of Minister Sagala Ratnayaka. So we are here questioning as to how these things will progress. We are coming to a situation where certain matters that we have reported even in the past are being confirmed to us now. We reported to you last week about such an incident as well. Today, we have another special story coming up, a revelation again with regard to phase 3, as you saw in the headlines, of the Central Expressway. Let's have a look at that as well.
According to sources, the Cabinet of Ministers is preparing to withdraw the contract from the Japanese Taisei company as a result of delays in constructing an interchange for the phase 3 of the project. A spokesperson of the Ministry of Highways said that even though the project will be withdrawn, since there was no agreement, a payment will not have to be made. Taisei has informed the Sri Lankan government that if the construction activities of the interchange is not handed over to the company, it cannot also carry out the contract pertaining to the expressway. Phase 3 of the Central Expressway is being carried out using money obtained at high interest rates and a number of conditions from the Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank. The value of the loan is $1 billion. The distance of the project from Potuhera to Galagedara is 32 kilometers.
Yes, good evening. From family bandism and some form of nepotism, on this story, it's all about departures from due process. If you remember, some time ago, Newsfirst reported on the astonishing events that was taking place about the Central Expressway's Section 3 project, where Lakshman Kiriella, as the minister, was having meetings with potential bidders on the project, two companies, Taisei, and then he got them all together and he formed or tried to form a consortium between Taisei and Fujita. And it was Newsfirst, of course, that broke the news of these astonishing departures from due process. And of course, we were also greeted with the information that there was a very high insurance premium amounting to 10.04% of the total, around a 104 million, pushing the total loan, potential loan for that, to $1 billion. And this appears now to have all been cancelled, or is on its way to being cancelled, because we have some information to suggest that the Japanese are unhappy with the various happenings that have been taking place. And of course, Newsfirst is not surprised, because there has been, and we've always crowed on about it, that there has been a complete departure from due process. There are processes in place, but nobody has bothered to apply it. And it was left to the president, of all people, to bring to the notice of his cabinet that there was, in fact, a company called Taisei, and that there was some question marks about it. And it was the president who ordered a news conference to be held along in front of the media. And this is the conference that Lakshman Kiriella very famously walked out, or shall we say very infamously. And that is what is happening in terms of national procurement from a government that promised us good governance and an equitable playing field for everybody. On that note, I'm going to be handing it back to Dasani and to carry on with the news.